What's up, guys? Tyler V at ZZP here. We got our stealth heat exchanger for the Ion Redline. Finally, we're gonna get this fitted. As you may have seen online, we've been working on this for quite a while. Obviously, we've had the Stealth for the Cobalt SS for years, and we knew that we needed an option for the Ion Redline, so we're going all out. This boy is thick. This is our prototype sample for production. So we already know there will be a couple things that'll be slightly different, but the core itself is gonna be unchanged. So we're gonna get this car up, gonna break down how to install, how to get your coolant system ready for some nice cold IAT2s. What's up, guys? Tyler V at ZZP here. Today we got another install video for you. First things first, obviously, you don't need a lift, as always. You can do this at home in your driveway. I've done it before on my Cobalts. It's doable on Ions. Not a huge job. It is a little involved, but first thing we're gonna do is remove our bumper. Obviously, we have to access the stock heat exchanger because we're removing that. Thankfully, the Ion's pretty easy to get the front bumper off. You may or may not have done it before, but GM had the best headlight retainer system with these little things.
They look like those things people used to ghost hunt.
They do, where they walk around and they're like, oh shit, there's a ghost here. It's like, whoa. You'll just pull up on both sides. If your car's seen some mileage, they might be a little rusty like these. Repeat on the other side. And your headlight should pull right out. You're gonna wanna disconnect your main wiring harness for the headlight. And then you've got your one for the blinker. That should free you up. Same thing on the other side. Now you're gonna need a 7mm, and you're gonna wanna take your side markers off here, twist and turn to remove that bulb. Remove the bolt, and then those pull out towards you. Now you're gonna have 4 bolts up top. Those are also 7mm. Now we're gonna go up a bit. So we're gonna need to remove the fender liner from the bumper to get it off. On each side, there's gonna be a couple clips and then a 7mm up top. So we'll take that 7mm off, then get those pop clips out. Then do that on the other side. There we go. Then you're gonna have another 7mm back here. There we go. Now that we're underneath, we're gonna grab the remaining pop clips here. Once all those are removed, make sure you're free from the bumper, which we are. Now before we take the bumper off, you're gonna want to unplug your fog lights if you have a comp edition. And we'll go back down. Now that we've got everything undone, you're going to come to the sides of the bumper here and pull out to release the tabs. If you got tabs left, you'll release the tabs. Take off that front bumper. Next, you'll take off the big front foam piece that supports your bumper. Undo that. Take it down. Next, we're going to need to remove the front main crash bar. Going to use a 13 mil. Going to be 3 bolts on each side. So once you're to this step, you're probably going to say, hey, mine looks a lot different. Now this is our only supercharged Ion Redline, so we had to do some test fitting, some mock-up for the prototype unit. As you can see, this front support beam here, we did have to cut a little bit up. Now, if you don't want to cut your car at all, we obviously have our S3 heat exchanger, but we figured this was a willing sacrifice for better IAT2s. I should grab a tape, give them a measurement. To fit the larger heat exchanger, we have to do away with this. Now, on each side, these are going to be equidistant. These bottom tabs here are going to be these bottom bolts here are going to be our mounting point. So we need to clear enough room. Easiest way is from the end, because we know that's going to be the same on everyone's car. You're going to go 10 inches across and mark your line down. Now obviously, when you're making this cut, you want to be very careful. You don't want to damage your AC condenser, so it might not be a bad idea to put something behind there, wood, metal, just to make sure your cutoff wheel doesn't go into anything else. Now on the top, this wiring harness normally clips in to this beam across here, so you'll need to undo all those. So on both sides, you're going to take your measurement 10 inches from the end, make your line all the way down. Obviously, you can follow whatever pattern you want, but you just want to make sure you have enough to get your heat exchanger in. Now, your third cut is going to have to be up top here on the hood latch bracket. Yeah. Your third cut's going to have to be up here on the hood latch bracket. This normally comes down and then reaches the center beam. So it's 3 10 mils. You'll undo those. You want to hang that aside, and you can see the easiest way is going to be pretty much just follow this core support line and make your cut across there. Obviously this one's even tighter to your AC condenser, so you want to be quite careful getting in there. Like I said, put something behind there just to make sure you don't hit that. Once you've made your cut at the top, throw these right 2 bolts back on. What I like to do, obviously on these older cars, you can pretty much tell where that's been in place for years and years and years. So just kind of line it up with wherever your dirt or dust mark is. And we'll get those tight. We're going to leave this one off because that's going to be our 3rd mounting point for the heat exchanger. Next, you're going to remove your air deflector down here. If you don't have one of these, try and find one. It makes a huge difference on the Ion when it comes to cooling overall. So it's going to be 2 pop clips on both sides. This one's easy to get to. Easy to launch. And your other side's going to be a little more difficult to access. Next thing we're going to do, we got to disconnect our heater hoses from the stock heat exchanger here. Now obviously if you have an S3 up front right now, they're going to be a little bit different, but we're going to attack these. Hope these stock hoses come apart from the stock tubes. There's no hole there.
Okay, push up right. There you go, perfect.
All right. So you'll have to undo your constant tension clamp here. All right, so let's see, can I move this clamp forward enough? Yes, okay. There we go.
Shit, looks like you got it. Yep.
Got it. When I did the stealth on my Cobalt, these were like molded into the hose. If you do a lot of work on cars, these constant tension clamp tools come in super handy. It locks. You can get it into small, tight spaces. Obviously, you're probably going to struggle a little more if you don't have one of these. Ask me how I know. All right, so I'm going to take a pick and kind of work my way around, trying not to poke into it, just to try and free these hoses up. Yeah.
Wow, dude.
What?
This is crazy.
This is crazy. All right, we are going to get probably fucking soaked. But... All right, once you get it free,
Ready for a shower?
start moving that up and off, and we don't have any coolant in ours.
Oh, Big Mike's in there.
Now that we've got our hoses unhooked, we're going to go about removing the stock heat exchanger. So what needs to happen is this AC condenser is going to come off of the plastic bracket that's back here. Then we'll get the stock one off. So it's just going to be 2 10 mils here. So there's a little tab on the left side here. No, you're good. You'll pull the condenser away from that, and then it slides out of these top brackets on both sides. Okay. If you're working on jack stands, this can likely rest on the ground depending on how high you got it up. There's soft lines behind the elbows there on this AC condenser, but obviously you don't want to discharge the system. There we go, cool. All right. So now that we've got that secured, we're going to need to remove these two brackets so we can get the heat exchanger off. Just going to be 10 mils on each side. Whew, crunchy.
Well, I missed it.
All right, so now that we're supported, so for comparison's sake, here's your stock heat exchanger. There's the Stealth, and more importantly, the difference there is massive.
Looks like pencil thin.
Okay, so now that we have this removed, we need to get these brackets off because our AC condenser needs to reattach there. So as you can see, you got the plastic tabs that on that side, you can see they're still up in the heat exchanger, and on this side, they're down. What you'll want to do is just take a rubber mallet to get them free because they're probably pretty stuck. And detach them from both sides. There we go. There we go. We've got our side brackets. We're going to slide that back up into the radiator, locate it back, use your included M6 socket heads, and do the same on the other side. Now that we got the brackets back in, we can free up our AC condenser and work that back to its home. Take your other two included M6s, now that your condenser is in, time to install the Stealth. Pretty straightforward. You have your three mounting brackets. Like I said previously, those are going to go here, here, and here. And then your inlet and outlet tubes, those are going to fish into the slots in the radiator shroud assembly, just like where the stock ones did. So what you'll want to do is take your tubes, and line those up with the holes. Make sure you've cleared that. Then you'll pull it up. onto your brackets. And there we are. Before I forget, I'm going to throw this top nut back on the hinge assembly. I said hinge assembly, but it's a latch assembly. There we go. So we're going to go back up, reattach our hoses, then we'll finish assembly. Now that we're underneath here, I'm just going to throw a little bit of dielectric grease around the edge of these tubes. Just makes it nice if you ever change up your hose routing, say you're going with a dual pass and an option B later. Makes the hoses just a little bit easier to come off. Included in your kit are 2 German style worm drive clamps. They don't have the slots, so they're not going to tear up your hoses. I'm going to throw that over the tube first. Then get our stock hose back on. Much easier than coming off. Once you've got that adequately on, you'll just want to make sure that it's over the bead rolled part and that you've got enough to cover your clamp. Make sure you've got enough hose past the clamp. You don't want it falling off. Go ahead and tighten that down. Again, just kind of feel around. Make sure that bead roll is up past the clamp. Good there. So again, I'm going to slide my clamp over, take my stock hose, slide that on, get enough meat on it. And then tighten it down. Tighten that down. You want them tight, but you don't want to bend the aluminum, obviously. We'll check for leaks later. With your tubes hooked up, our installation is pretty much complete. We're going to put our front crash bar back on here. That's what your front rigidity comes from. The fact that we cut this out, don't worry, your car's not going to be any less safe. That's going to sandwich in these 2 plates. We include new hardware for your 6 bolts here. Lastly, obviously we're going to put the bumper back on, make sure everything's good. We've got our fill port on the left here. This should be accessible with just taking the headlights out, and Ion guys, you know how easy that is. On the right here, you have a bleed port. That's going to be for if you have our option B kit, which I highly recommend. I'm not going to show that procedure, but if you guys do want or need a video on how to fill and bleed the intercooler if you guys do need a video on filling and bleeding your heat exchanger system, let us know. We can certainly provide that for you. If you have our ZZP tune, your intercooler pump is going to turn on with your key on. The engine doesn't have to be on. So you'll want to fill through here, get this heat exchanger totally full. Then you'll use your top T if you still have one. Obviously, if you have a dual pass, you're not going to have that. Click that key on, let it cycle through, let the system bleed, fill as needed. But with that, go enjoy those fresh, crispy, cold IET2s with the new ZZP Stealth Heat Exchanger. Let us know if you guys like this video. Let us know what else you're looking for on your Ion Redline. We always love making parts for these cars, even though they're a little more rare. With that, we'll catch you next time. Peace.